The Capitol riot. On January 6, 2021, the United States Capitol building was stormed by a mob of Trump supporters who believed that the 2020 election was stolen from him. This crowd largely originated from the Ellipse, where Trump was holding a rally at the time, though some protesters arrived at the Capitol before the rally ended. The crowd broke through the first line of barricades on the west side at around 12:54. At 1:11, Trump concluded his speech, telling his supporters to march down Pennsylvania Avenue towards the Capitol, which many of them did. A riot was declared by the Metropolitan Police Department at 1:49. At 1:58, rioters broke through a police line on the east side of the Capitol. At 2:06, rioters on the east side make their way towards the rotunda doors. At 2:10, rioters on the west side break through the final barricade, and at 2:12 they enter the building itself. The Senate went into recess at 2:13, while the House of Representatives remained in session. Rioters continued to breach the building in other locations. Over 2,000 rioters would end up breaking into the building. Vice President Pence was evacuated at around 2:25, and the House of Representatives went into recess at around 2:29. Rioters made their way into the Senate at 2:42. At 2:44, a woman named Ashley Babbitt was shot while attempting to get into the House of Representatives. At 4:17, Trump posted a video to Twitter asking his followers to go home. At 5:20, the first National Guard troops begin arriving at the Capitol. It wasn't until 8:06 that the Senate reconvened, with the House of Representatives following suit at 9 o'clock. By the end of the day, 4 participants died and 174 Capitol police officers were injured, with one dying the following day. It was the first time since the War of 1812 that the U.S. Capitol was besieged. This was largely seen as a dark day in American history, with the event garnering condemnation from leaders of both parties, as well as leaders from other countries. Election fraud conspiracies. The attack was motivated by false claims of election fraud made by Trump. Trump claimed victory at 2:21 a.m. on election night, before all the votes had even been counted, saying,
"We were getting ready to win this election. Frankly, we did win this election,"
referring to the red mirage effect that we'll touch on later. After losing the election, Trump refused to publicly concede, instead launching over 60 lawsuits in an attempt to prove there was widespread election fraud. Almost all of these lawsuits went nowhere. Trump and his team also made numerous public accusations of voter fraud, all of which were without basis. I'll go into more detail on some of the election fraud later in the Iceberg, but it would take far too long to debunk all of them. These accusations failed to reverse the outcome of the 2020 election, and the Electoral College certified Joe Biden's victory on December 14th. The electoral votes were supposed to be counted by Congress on January 6th, and this is what the rioters had intended to stop. They only succeeded in delaying it, however, and Congress certified Biden's victory in the early morning hours of January 7th. The final nail in the coffin for the election fraud conspiracy theory was when Trump won in 2024, despite Democrats being in a better position to rig it. The red mirage. The 2020 election took place in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic. As such, many jurisdictions increased access to mail-in ballots as a way of allowing people to vote without risking exposure to COVID. Months before the election, Trump was already claiming that mail-in ballots would be used for voter fraud. He claimed this despite the fact that mail-in voting has been used for decades and has many of the same safeguards that in-person voting uses. This massive increase in mail-in voting in 2020 would, however, drastically increase the amount of time it would take for all the votes to be counted, with a winner not being declared until Saturday. Since in-person votes are counted first, and Democrats were more likely to vote by mail, the Republican lead shrank as more ballots were counted. This phenomenon was known as the blue shift or the red mirage. Election experts predicted that this would happen well in advance of the 2020 election, and Trump himself was made aware that his margin of victory would shrink as more ballots were counted, and that this may take days. Trump, as I'm sure you know, disregarded this advice and declared victory on election night anyway. The Ellipse Rally. Trump held a rally on the Ellipse across from the White House on the morning of January 6th, during which he repeated his false claims of election fraud and encouraged his supporters to march down Pennsylvania Avenue towards the Capitol. Besides Trump himself, the speakers included Rudy Giuliani,
"Let's have trial by combat,"
Donald Trump Jr., and John Eastman. Trump's speech lasted over an hour, during which he repeated his false claims about election fraud and told his supporters to march down to the Capitol to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard. He also said, "And I'll be there with you." More on that later. Trump's tweets. Trump posted a number of infamous tweets before, during, and after the attack. On December 19 at 1:42 a.m., Trump first announced his January 6 rally with a tweet saying big protest in D.C. on January 6. Be there will be wild. This tweet was seen as a call to storm the Capitol by many of his supporters. At 2:24 p.m. while the attack was underway, Trump tweeted, "Mike Pence didn't have the courage to do what should have been done to protect our country and our Constitution, giving states a chance to certify a corrected set of facts, not the fraudulent or inaccurate ones which they were asked to previously certify. USA demands the truth." This tweet further agitated the crowd in the Capitol. Over the next hour, in response to pressure from others in the White House, Trump posted 2 more tweets asking his supporters to respect law enforcement and stay peaceful, though Trump allegedly resisted the use of the word peace. The January 6 committee concluded that these tweets had little effect on the crowd at the time. It wasn't until 4:17 p.m. when Trump told his supporters to disperse, posting a video message encouraging his followers to go home. At 6:01 p.m. Trump tweeted, "These are the things and events that happen when a sacred landslide election victory is so unceremoniously and viciously stripped away from great patriots who have been badly and unfairly treated for so long. Go home with love and in peace. Remember this day forever." Trump's Twitter account was later suspended. "We love you, you're very special." At 4:17 p.m., when it became obvious that the insurrection would fail, Trump posted a video to Twitter calling off his supporters. This video did ultimately help end the riot, but it was still widely condemned for repeating the false election fraud claims and saying,
We love you. You're very special.
During their investigation, the January 6 committee found the script that Trump was supposed to read off of, and noted that he omitted several lines. They also uncovered outtakes from the filming of this video message. These would be shown to the public during the January 6 hearings.
Good chase? Yeah. When you're ready, sir. Yep. I'll be right behind you.
You tell me when.
When you're ready, sir.
Who's behind me?
He's gone around. We're all clear now.
I know your pain. I know you're hurt. We had a election, let me see.
The Four Seasons Total Landscaping. It is here where we should introduce one of the more entertaining figures in all this, Rudy Giuliani. Prior to working for Trump, Giuliani was most well known for being the mayor of New York City during the September 11th attacks. In 2018, he would go on to work as Trump's personal attorney and absolutely obliterate his own reputation. Giuliani became instrumental in Trump's post-election litigation. On Saturday, November 7th, Giuliani decided to hold a press conference in Philadelphia to make false claims of election fraud and to announce the campaign's intention to litigate the results. Of course, such a major announcement from a presidential campaign necessitated an upscale venue. So, the Trump campaign booked none other than the Four Seasons. The Four Seasons is a luxurious hotel located in the heart of Philadelphia. Wait a minute, I made a mistake. The conference wasn't at the Four Seasons Hotel. It was at the Four Seasons Total Landscaping, a landscaping company in North Philadelphia, right across the street from a crematorium. While the press conference was being set up, the Associated Press called the election for Joe Biden. Other networks followed. When Giuliani was asked about all the networks calling the election, he sarcastically replied,
Goodness, all the networks! Wow! All the networks! We have to forget about the law! Judges don't count!
The conference was widely mocked for the apparent incompetence of the campaign team. The venue itself became a bit of a tourist attraction. The official reason for hosting it at a landscaping company was that it was right next to Interstate 95, but many people are skeptical of that. Later in 2021, MSNBC made a documentary about the event, aptly titled Four Seasons Total Documentary. They interview the owner and employees of the company and discuss the press conference and the effect it had on their business. The employees said that while they received some backlash for hosting the event, they were able to put a humorous spin on it. They began selling merch referencing the event, and the owner even starred in a Super Bowl commercial for Fiverr.